Hey guys, now we're going to make the pumpkin cookies. So what we're going to use pumpkin. So we're going to use the pumpkin that we made. And there's 3 cups of pumpkin. We're going to use 3 cups of brown sugar. And when you measure brown sugar, you always pack it into the measuring cup. Flour, sugar, other sugars, you're going to just put loosely in there. Brown sugar, you're going to pack it, okay? That's how you always measure brown sugar. And the difference between light brown sugar and dark brown sugar, really there isn't any difference other than the color. Depends on what you're making. Sometimes you don't want really dark cookies and you wouldn't use the darker or the brown sugars, okay? So you're just going to mix those 2 together. This makes a ton of cookies. So if you make them, and you could freeze half of them if you want to. You could frost half of them. What we're going to do today is we're going to make some. We're going to split the batter after we make it and put chocolate chips in half of it and raisins in the other half. And I do that with a lot of cookies. A lot of times I won't put nuts in, but I'll put chocolate chips in one side and then maybe peanut butter chips or something like that on the other side. Okay, so then we're going to put 3 eggs. And then we're going to put 1.5 cups of oil. Yes, I know it's a lot of oil. There's no butter, there's no other shortening in there other than oil. So I put the pumpkin, I put the eggs, I put the oil, and I put the brown sugar in here. And I had to whisk them together. It kind of takes you a little bit of time to incorporate it, so you didn't want to see me have to go through that. So anyway, you got to work at it a little bit and incorporate it with a whisk, okay? Because the oil, you kind of really need to fold it in there really good. All right, and this is what it's going to look like. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to put the flour. I have baking soda and baking powder, okay? I have vanilla, okay? And I have ginger. So now we're going to put the flour. There are 6 cups of flour. There's a lot of flour in this. So you're going to put a little bit at a time and then just incorporate it in. And then you're going to work all that flour into your batter. Okay, and then we'll take a look at that in a few minutes. Okay, so we mixed all the ingredients together, okay, and it makes a lot of batter, So we're going to split it. So I'm just going to take half of the batter and put it in another bowl, and it's pretty thick batter, okay. I did it by hand. You could use a mixer if you wanted to. I just find sometimes if you use a mixer with cookies, it puts a little bit too much air into it. So you could actually use a mixer for the first part of it with your sugars and everything like that. And then when you put your flours and your dry ingredients, do that by hand with a wooden spoon or a spatula. Okay, so we're going to put chocolate chips in one side, and then we'll put raisins in the other. So we have, it calls for 2 cups of chocolate chips. But since we're only using half of the batter, we're only going to use half of that. So I would even recommend if you just want to make half of this recipe, because it's just huge. Unless you're making them to take them somewhere. But it's a lot of cookies. Okay. So you're just going to fold in your chocolate chips. And you could use semi-sweet chocolate chips or milk chocolate chips. I would probably throw some walnuts in here. But none of my guys like walnuts, so I won't. And then what they do, they say it calls for, we'll put our raisins in the other. And then it calls to put them on a greased baking sheet for just like 15 minutes, 12 to 15 minutes, which is not really a long time to cook cookies, but these are very, very moist cookies. And you don't want to put them in an airtight container because they're going to stay too moist and then they'll stick together. So just like some saran wrap over them or something, but nothing like Tupperware like that's airtight. So we're just going to use a baking stone. I use baking stones most of the time. Cookie sheets are fine as well. And we'll just scoop them on, okay? And these are pretty good size. One thing that you could do with these is you could put frosting on them and they're just excellent. Okay, so we baked them in the oven at 350 for about 15 minutes. So we'll take them out and see what they look like. And they look perfect. So this is what they look like. They're very cakey cookies. They're very moist and they're very cakey. The batter's not really good just to taste like you would regular cake batter, because it has quite a bit of oil in it, and that's why they're so moist. But they're just nice little cookies. They cook beautifully, and you're gonna love them. Well, you know I have to try a bite. Awesome. So until next time, we'll see you.